Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this newest episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Tactica Imperialis.
Hello everyone.
And joining us as our returning guest this week, the runners-up in Adeptus Quizcasters and the Podcastus cover teachers, Snipe Wib.
Hello.
Hello. We may be like the supply teachers here, but that doesn't mean that you can all get rowdy in the comments, unless you bribe us. We are susceptible to bribes.
Mm-hmm. And also,
mainly out of Bamberg.
That's not a bribe. That's a threat.
that offence is rewarded only with expulsion. Then we burn your house down.
In Roblox.
I do want to ask though, will you let us know once you receive that giant Bamberg made of smaller Bambergs in your P.O. box?
If I do, I am walking to your home with it, and I am going to beat your house to death with it. But yeah, I'll let you know.
The star of a new unboxing video. But anyway, in the news this week, what we got?
A mixed bag, to be honest. I'm pretty much entirely on the 41st Millennium side. There's nothing for AOS. The Arcane Cataclysm box came out and they've revealed the War Scrolls for those two Black Library characters, the Hollow Knight Vampire thingy-what's-it, and the Caradron Dreki something. So that's what they've done there. Almost everything's going on the 40k and Necromunda Heresy side. I think where we'll start is we'll go with Heresy, because we were talking about something like this before we started, which is the new plastic Land Raider Proteus, very much based off the sort of original Rogue Trader style Land Raider design.
You mean the best tank design?
You're biased.
I'm somewhat biased in this regard.
But yes, they've obviously we had the Spartan in Age of Darkness. Now we've got sort of the Heresy Land Raider, the Proteus, and they've given us two variants with the box. So you've got the standard Proteus with the las cannons, the assault ramp, and it's a lot of las cannons to be clear. It's about 6. Or you can have something called the Proteus Explorator, which ditches the assault ramp and thus the assault vehicle rule, but instead takes a dozer blade and an Explorator augury web, so it'll be more capable of handling terrain. Because for those who are more new to Warhammer 40k, back in the day, if a vehicle went over some dodgy terrain, it wasn't just a movement penalty. If you rolled a 1, then your tank broke its treads and couldn't move anymore. So the dangerous terrain check of doom that just automatically immobilized any tank that rolled a 1.
Yeah, the good old days.
It was a rough time to run a heavy vehicle based army.
Back in my day, when we ran a car park, we'd drive up and down to the Imperial car park, uphill both ways. Our tank tracks would be made of literal gelatin.
We'd lose half of our thing.
We had literally 90% of our rolls were turning circles. We had to get the protractors out, which
Personally,
was upset to the unprofessional tractors.
Personally, I liked it when you immobilized a skimmer and they just fell out the sky.
Yeah, that was true, which was kind of annoying if you played Fish of Fury, but then again, I played Farsight Bomb, so it didn't affect me, I didn't care.
And I feel that was just cause for playing, Fish of Fury.
Yeah, obviously, if we're talking about these old days, obviously Heresy players will be very used to this, but for the sort of younger, new 40k crowd, the idea of firing arcs and armor values and all of this, the fact that you and I and Remleiz can talk about this stuff so casually, oh yeah, I remember that. But then you think about how long it's been since there was such a thing as an armor value on a tank, and it's been now 5.5, coming up on 6 years.
Oh my god, don't say that. That's illegal. That's illegal.
But do you remember the days of when weapons had their specific armor penetration values? So you had to roll D6 plus 6 plus D20 plus D4.
I know when I remember the days of weapons having an AP value, like AP2 meant you got +1 on the vehicle damage table and all this stuff. But no, that
was after that.
Oh yeah, that was 4th edition, 5th edition, where they had that. I have to say, I feel very sorry for 4th edition players because the vehicle damage table in 4th edition was so stupid. There were like 4 different tables. If you got a glancing hit, a penetrating hit, an ordnance hit, all this, that, the other. And then 5th edition said, no, one table, +1, -1, -2, +2, and just made it much, much easier to keep track of what was actually going on.
Oh, yeah. The funny thing is, I think I might have talked about this in a podcast just a little bit ago, but in early 3rd edition, when they first introduced that system with the tables, in the Citadel Journal, they did a whole article about, our new vehicle system sucks. And it doesn't really make sense because there are certain things where, say, a melter gun is more effective on a dreadnought than it is on a Terminator.
But they're wearing tactical dreadnought
But that's
armor,
the thing,
so it's more tactical.
And they're saying, like, canonically, one is functionally just a big version of the other, so it makes no sense that it should be more effective on the big one than on the little one. So, as a system, to replace that, we propose literally using the same stat lines as regular troops like they did when 8th edition rolled around, and it just took them like 16 years to go, actually, that idea was really good. Let's just do that.
But the thing is, I maybe call me old-fashioned, I actually prefer vehicles being different to monsters. Like, in my head, I understand why they haven't done it, but the idea of, like, weapon destroyed, immobilized, damaging the crew, like, if you fire a single las cannon at a Land Raider in 9th edition, and you roll the perfect roll, then you have taken 2 inches off its move and 1 off its ballistic skill. In the past, if you fired a las cannon at a Land Raider and rolled perfectly, you blew the whole thing up. Mm-hmm. Granted, you had to roll a 6 and then a 5 or a 4 in order to do it. You had to roll better than you do these days. But there felt like anti-tank weapons mattered in older editions because literally a bolt gun could not hurt a rhino. It couldn't do it. And that makes sense. Small arms fire.
Technically, you could if you shot it from the rear.
Okay, honey,
Oh, yeah, okay, yes, fair point.
Sorry, carry on.
Sorry, I don't get to actually on this podcast very often.
No, but it's just the idea of, like, these dedicated anti-infantry, like, a heavy flamer should not be able to do anything to a Necron monolith.
I mean, bugger all could do anything to a Necron monolith. They were a right pain in the arse.
Irrelevant.
I mean, absolutely. But the fact that vehicles were so tanky, the only problem it created is the fact that vehicles were so different to monsters meant there was a bit of an imbalance between them. But a vehicle having a wound stat is just odd to me. Maybe it's just because that's what I grew up with and that's what I understand. But it makes more sense to me for vehicles to work that way because they don't have wounds. They're not alive. You can't cause a flesh wound on a tank unless it's a demon tank.
I think the big thing is that when the old system had the problem that there was some weapons, and as was brought up in that old Citadel Journal article, where they ended up being better at taking down things that don't really make sense and worse at taking down other things just because the two systems weren't perfectly aligned. But I think the other big one is that it meant that it was very possible in games to end up in situations where everything you had to kill, you physically couldn't.
I mean, how many times in, the older rule sets where you were running your orc list, and I was just like, here's my Land Raider, it has 14 armor all sides, and you were like, well, I'm just gonna sit here and die. And it's like, I see both sides, but I do remember the weird dead man walking kind of syndrome.
My personal thing is I think that the current system, it allows for less weird situations like that. And I think with the modern game, especially with the freedom that there is to create more ridiculous themed armies, as in you can just go, I like this particular unit and I'm going to build my entire army around it, which in previous editions with the old Force organizational chart, you couldn't necessarily do.
True.
Whereas now you can do that. So that means it's very easy to create an army that consists of nothing, or at the very least 90% of vehicles. And so most armies, unless they are specifically tailored for that, aren't going to be able to deal with that. So it does kind of need... Then basically, it needs to be possible with the way the modern game works for a grot to be able to kill an Imperial Knight.
Yeah, I think it was Knights that really broke the system and forced their hand, because in the past you had to, as you say, with the old Fortal, take troops, and there was, I don't think, a single way to make a vehicle a troops choice. I'm willing to be corrected on that. But it was when Knights came along, I think that truly broke it, because if you went to a tournament and you took a mixed army and you ran up against Knights, you just lost half the time, because Walkers didn't have rear armor problems. You still had to hit them in the face, which you couldn't do. As an Orc player, I never minded the fact that a Land Raider was a giant, almost pain in the arse to take down, because I invested in power claws everywhere.
It didn't openers.
It didn't matter to me about that, but I think, I don't know, I definitely think Knights force a system where you can't have vehicles that are unkillable. I think if it weren't for Knights, I think they could get away with it, but I think Knights sort of forced their hand. Plus, I think Tyranids were too weak in comparison, because they just weren't set up for it. I don't know. Then, oh god, the Jink rolled. Oh god, people are like Jink.
I think it is ultimately, it's a solution to a balance issue, because you can't necessarily, it becomes very hard when you have two systems that work entirely differently to make them intermingle, whereas when they are the same system, you can just scale them appropriately.
It's not a particularly elegant solution, but it needed to happen.
At the end of the day, they were tweaking the same system from 3rd to 7th, and they never, every time they tweaked it, it either made vehicles too strong or too weak. So,
was it like 7th or 8th where like my Dreadnought army was just absolutely bloody useless?
I think it was 6th, because...
it was 6th, yeah, that's the
because
one.
that was when they introduced hull points, but you could die to 3 glancing hits.
Yeah.
So it was just absolutely unbearable in that system. But then 7th came along and said you can't die to a glancing hit or something, so it wasn't as bad. I can't remember exactly, but... Yeah, 6th was an awful time to play vehicles. 5th was the best time, but then 6th was the worst.
Because I think we skipped 6th.
I only played like 2 games of 6th.
Yeah, it only lasted 2 years.
Yeah.
I wonder why. Probably no reason, don't think about it.
It was terrible.
Yeah. Because I remember being like looking at it and going, my entire Dreadnought army is absolute.
Well, you didn't have a full Dreadnought.
No, I had a lot of.
You just ran a lot of Dreadnoughts.
I ran a lot of Dreadnoughts. I was like, this seems wanky AF.
It just felt like
don't want to do that.
It just felt like, so I really liked 5th. Like it had its problems, like wound allocation stuff that was absolutely fucking
tactical casualty removal.
Let's just say my diversified knob squad took a long time to kill.
Yeah, same.
But you know, like there was problems with it. But I really like 5th. But and then when 6th rolled around, it was like, well, this is just 5th, but like faffier. It's just got bits in it that just make it slightly more complicated, but for no added fun. I didn't really like it, so I didn't really play it much, and then the whole edition passed us by.
Whereas I joined the game in 5th, so I've got that nostalgia for 5th. And I played a bit of 6th, but I played a lot of 7th, a huge amount of 7th. Because that's where I got into Tau, and I had a local Games Workshop store that I could actually go and play at every week while I was at uni. So 7th was my thing, 7th edition. Whereas 8th pretty much passed me by. Well, no, I played a fair bit of 8th, but 9th has completely passed me by. I've played 2 games in 9th, and then every other game I played has been at Warhammer Club against kids or people who haven't played in 20 years. So literally 9th has completely passed me by between the pandemic and everything else. It's just like, there's going to be a new edition next year, isn't there? Oh God, what happened to that edition? Why did I buy all these books?
I mean, that's just modern 40k for you, isn't it? Like, especially over the last few years, because the pandemic has meant that like there was a huge chunk. It was just of the tail end of 8th and the start of 9th, where it's like, well, I mean, since the both of us are in the same flat, we can physically play games if we want to, but we don't. Our flat isn't like we don't have
But
the space
also,
to properly play.
we live literally like a bus ride away from Warhammer World.
But it wasn't open during...
And that wasn't open, and
Yeah.
we're like, well, we could play 40k in here, but then just be sad the whole time because it's not the gaming hall at Warhammer
And it's not,
World.
we've not got the space to play a proper full game, so you
Yeah.
just don't bother. And
Yeah.
So I like how this has just now become the Adeptus Podcastus reminiscence corner.
Old people yelling at clouds, yeah.
Old people yelling at clouds.
Back in my day, 14, all you guys, little awkward
To add a little bit of a different spin on it, I will just say, though 8th had its problems, especially towards the end when it got a little bit like,
Busted.
there was too much stuff. Like I genuinely love 8th edition, especially at the start. Like it's basically streamlined out all the things that I thought were kind of bad about previous editions. And
For me, sorry.
I just say, I think that was exactly what the game needed.
Yeah, I agree. The reason 8th felt awful for me because I played Orcs and I played Tau and we didn't get a codex for about 2 years. And and so I was stuck with a crappy little index playing against a guard who had a codex super early. Marines got their codex super early. And I was just sat here like, right, so I've got this absolute garbage fire of an index that is absolutely awful. And I can't win ever. And it did my head in. But I think you're right. 8th had to happen. But it's kind of like Heresy and 40k is like Sigmar and Old World. The fact that Heresy uses that, dare I use the word classic 40k rule set now, whereas 40k is easy to access, easy to pick up. Like I've managed to teach so many people to play Warhammer 40k 9th edition. It's really easy to pick up and go. And then Heresy is more advanced, detailed, more suited to, well, not suited to older players, but more tailored towards people who've been in the hobby for ages and know all this stuff and can just pick it up and go. And then Sigmar is like, yeah, we've got a really simple, easy to introduce system that you can teach in 5 minutes. And then Old World's coming back with the square bases, rank and file, firing arcs, all of that. But I remember people saying, well, the fact that Old World's coming back means that Sigmar's not doing a good job. No one said that about Heresy. No one said the fact that, Heresy's getting a huge push and a rebrand into be proper 7th edition reboot means that 9th edition is failing. It was just more Sigmar bashing, but that's just my 2 cents.
Fair. It's a whole thing.
Agreed. But if you are in the mood for some Heresy, then Death Guard are getting their upgrade kit, their helmets and all of that. So they're Mark 6. We had a very interesting set of replies in the comments about would you want dragon heads for salamanders? Quite mixed because of this whole space wolf head thing. So it definitely was. Mostly people were happy with the idea of salamander heads for having dragons, but not everybody. But the Death Guard ones, well, what did you expect? They are very simple, but very, very good. In my personal opinion, anyway.
It's just Mark 3.
I mean, yeah, it is just Mark 3.
Is pretty, though.
It
is something that I find it quite funny because there's the whole... Because there's, for want of a better term, the Heresy stuff being the closest thing to historical wargaming that GW does these days. At least in terms of that it's a set period where this is how everyone looks, blah, blah, blah. And yet every time all of the new heads, or nearly all the new heads they've brought out for the Mark 6 armor, you're like... This isn't really Mark 6 armor, and no one would have called this Mark 6 armor like a Mark 6 helmet before now. But everyone just accepts that minor retcon without any like consternation. It's interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, they're not quite like Mark 3 because Mark 3 had a separate plate. They've modeled it to look like Mark 3, but Mark 3 had a separate armored plate over the beak area to give it that distinct shape, whereas this is just like basically they just took a grinder to Mark 6 and got it down to Mark 3 shaped rather than actually plating it up like classic Mark 3 because I've somehow lost my 30k Thousand Suns, or I flogged them or sold them on and forgot, or I don't know what I've done with them, but my 30k Thousand Suns have gone missing. But no, they don't look like Mark III. They look like, but they're not quite the same as Mark III. But I agree that certainly people have just been like, this is different Mark, but also not. So, yeah, I know what you mean about the whole subtle retcon just being accepted.
Yeah, it's I just find it interesting.
Agreed.
But I do like the heads. They are fun.
Indeed. Right, let's jump forward 10,000 years to something else that is equally as rugged and not about aesthetics as anything that the Death Guard could come up with. The Brockia Thunderkin of the Leagues of Votann. These are the sort of heavy gunners of the new squats, and they are chunky, as you would expect.
I'll be honest, I didn't catch a single word of what you said. You're breaking up so badly.
Yeah, your Discord is being an absolute weirdo.
I've downgraded my Wi-Fi because of the cost of living, that's why. Fantastic. Basically, what I was trying to say was the squat, heavy infantry, exosuit, cannon people, them.
Oh.
Was what I was trying to say. But clearly, I don't have a good enough internet anymore. Fantastic.
I mean, they are very cool. The exosuit things, they are rad as hell. I
like the fact that they're on little stilts.
they are quite cute.
They're tactical platform shoes.
I can't. Oh, I wish I could remember the name of the person that did them, but there was a person on the Daka Daka forums many years ago.
We're going old school now.
I mean, Daka's still around.
Yeah, I know, but I haven't used it for a while, so...
Is this about the guy who made his own Centurions?
No, it's someone who made their own Grot Rebellion force in 5th edition. For making things like burners, they basically made mech suits that were the same style as these, but with grots in, but they just scratch built them, and so they have a real vibe of that. They were orange, which might help someone know who that is. I completely forgot the name of the person that did it. It's annoying me. But I do like how they have asymmetrical shoulder armor, because I'm just a fan of asymmetrical shoulder armor. So that's
it's like the Tau broadsides in that way.
Yeah, like I love that on Tau as well. Like I just think it's a fun touch.
I tell you what they remind me of. Oh god, what's the name of that movie? It was that shitty Tom Cruise film that was based on that manga. It was based on that manga. All You Need Is Kill.
Oh, Edge of Eternity.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Something like that.
I think so.
Something like that. Yeah.
Live, Die, Repeat. That one.
Yeah, the one that sort of got almost retconned to have a different name because they started marketing it more as Live, Die, Repeat because that was just a more interesting title than the actual title.
Yeah, it reminds me of the power armor suits that the guys wear in there.
Very
much so.
Agreed. The other thing to note with 40k is, well, they've got a bit here about the fact that Chaos Marine armies can take demons, as can Chaos Knights. So you can actually field demon allies without compromising your legion or whatever else, which is kind of nice because summon demons has disappeared from the Chaos Space Marine Codex and such. So they've just put that back in a slightly different way. But for those who aren't demon players, it should be noted for Kill Team that... Do you remember that Space Hulk Kill Team thing with the Gellerpox people? Because they're coming back. The two kill teams.
Yeah, they're being released as separate kits now. It's the Rogue Traders Retinue and the Gellerpox Plague.
Which is cool, because I mean, they were...
Star Striders, that's it. Star Striders.
Because they were just nice models in general, so, just more opportunities to get hold of these things is not a bad thing.
Yeah. And it's also worth noting that the Phobos team and the Traitor Guard kit are coming out very soon, according to that article as well.
Oh, one thing I saw mentioned on Twitter, which is kind of a weird thing, is with the Demons Codex coming out, they're doing like made to order things of some of the old metal Chaos Demons. But I know in at least the case of the horrors, they're releasing them as a pack of 5, but that's not got all the sculpts in it.
No.
Which is weird.
If I had to guess, I would guess they've lost the molds for the other ones.
Yeah.
Or
if I had to guess.
Yeah, either that or the molds have degraded to the point that those ones... Because I would presume they're all in the same thing, because I don't know... I presume you've seen how the old metal molds actually look. They're like these big, round slabs.
Yeah.
TBH, same.
And I presume that they're all together. That would make sense. So I maybe the ones they've not included, or some of them are just too degraded for whatever reason. So they're just we'll just narrow it down to 5.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would assume that would be the case. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a pity because I think it's some of the more interesting ones where they've got a horror climbing out the mouth of another horror are the ones that aren't included, which is a pity because those are really cool.
Yeah, it's a shame.
I'm surprised they're releasing that shitty version of Karanak, though, because that's a shit model. I'm sorry, the original Karanak.
Sorry, not sorry. It was shit.
it was shit.
I mean, you know how things are. I cannot throw any shade at anyone since I am literally building an army of Rogue Trader miniatures right now where every unhelmeted Marine looks like a potato, so I can't throw any shade at someone having a fondness for an old wonky model.
Yeah, it's just funny when you compare the original version to the newer plastic version. It's just night and day.
Yeah,
but honestly, the old one does have a charm. It's of an era. I kind of get it.
Being compressed to fit on a cavalry base.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to talk about transformations, the Beasts of Nurgle went from tiny little slime trails into giant hulking thingamabobs. So I think if there was a glow up in there, glow up's the wrong word, but transformation, they really changed the Beasts of Nurgle a lot.
I mean, it's no Nagash, but few things are.
Do you remember the original Beast of Nurgle, though?
No, I probably wasn't born.
That's fair.
Yeah, fair.
The fact that I had these separate tentacles, to slide into on top of them.
Don't ever use the word slide in the same sentence as the word tentacles, please. That's too much. That's too easy to clip. I can't do it.
It's just hard to type with one bloody arm.
This is true.
Fair. Now I feel bad, and I'm sorry. If it helps, you can talk to me about Battenberg for a couple of seconds if it makes you feel better.
So you're excited to get your Battenberg?
Yes.
Good.
That physically hurt me, so we're even now.
Okay, I can't actually find a good picture, so I had to go by someone's poorly painted version of it. That thing.
That's a tree.
That's a tree.
Yep.
Or that's what's the Lovecraftian monster that's just it's like an ugly palm tree with hooves?
Dave.
Dave.
Is that the Yithians?
No, that's not that. They're
Aren't they weird? Oh, yeah.
No, I think it's a something young. I can't remember.
Dark Young?
Maybe Dark Young? Yeah,
Eric
can't
Young.
remember. No,
Yeah.
Eric David Young.
Eric David Young.
Yeah, that's what that is, and it's just hey up, mate. I'm just coming out of the Eldritch dimension, and I'm also apparently in 40k, which is cool.
Yeah. Would this be a good segue to mention the models that were announced for Warhammer Plus subscribers, because some of those are alluding to what used to be some of the oldest models that GW still produced.
Yes, we saw these silhouettes last week and we talked about them, and Remleiz was spot on with the 40k miniature being a direct, it's called Azrak the Annihilator now, but it being a homage and sort of recreation of a Chaos Terminator sculpt from White Dwarf, or either a sculpt or a piece of artwork, I can't remember now.
It was artwork, it was... what book was it used on?
It was present in the second edition Chaos Codex.
It was,
I know that for a fact. I can't remember if it was earlier though.
It was used.
A Chaos
it was
book.
used on a cover of a book. It was a Chaos lore book.
It also says it's off a White Dwarf cover.
It was also used on Index Chaotica.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yes, and it's a really fun piece of artwork. Although I was saying before we before I gave you the call, I was like, I like the idea of that model more than I like the actual model because it has to stick within that pose, which is very much of the era. It sort of lacks the dynamism of more modern models,
For example, the AOS Sorcerer miniature.
Yes. Who comes with some amazing, familiars and the old Chaos familiar, or the old familiar models. Which, when did they stop making those?
I don't know, but I do feel I've seen them before.
One of them looks like, Slambo?
Yes. But the old ones were some of the oldest miniatures that GW still produced because they were still out until relatively recently. And bearing in mind, I'm 36 years old, so relatively recently is within the last 7 years to me. So
you all remember that new movie that's just come out? George of the Jungle.
new upcoming star Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, love that guy.
But those familiars were from the 80s and they were still being produced until relatively recently. They were as far as I'm aware, those were the oldest miniatures that they were still producing until they discontinued them a few years back. Weird, they just, it was like there's just one thing that slipped through the cracks and they were still making it. It was bizarre. And so it's nice to see them getting a little homage in these new things.
Yeah. I'll
tell you one thing that surprised me. With the Azrak miniature, they actually painted the lighting inside the helmet cavity. Which, it's very rare to see actual lighting painted on a GW miniature.
Yeah, they don't tend to do OSL on their stuff. Again, I think I would prefer it without it, but I get why they did it.
Or is it just...
You do paint it yourself, don't you? So...
Well, yes. But I mean, when you're showing it off... When you want
fair point. Fair point, yes, sorry. That was more sarcastic than it was meant to.
No, that was glorious.
It's fine. It's just one of those things where I feel it is... I understand why, but I feel it's more detrimental to the look of the showing it off than it looks good, if you know what I mean. Not that I could do it. I'm terrible at OSL, so I can't say a word, but,
Yeah, that's fair. Though, that's not the only thing to be walking out from the past and from obscurity and death, the death, as it were. Because, Rem, you might need to help me out on this one. Inquisitor Sabathiel.
Yes, not to be confused with Muriel Sabathiel. Same name, different people. No relation. It's like Agent Johnson from Die Hard, no relation.
I was in high school, dickhead. I love that fucking movie.
But yes, you may actually recognise this Inquisitor from the Dark Angels comics that GW put out a short while ago. She actually died in that. But she's back.
Spoilers.
And she got better.
She got better. It's
Little
40K.
cold compress should be alright.
Yes. And she's actually coming in her own full-length novel, which I can't see what it's actually called.
It's called... what's it called? Hang on. Awakenings.
Awakenings, that's it. All I can see is just George Mann. I'm pretty sure the novel's not called George Mann. Be a very weird novel if it was called George Mann by George Mann.
He's from Georgia.
It's like the song Iron Maiden off the album Iron Maiden by
Metallica.
Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Or the song Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least an Iron Maiden is an actual thing that can be sung about by a band called Iron Maiden.
Yeah, this is true. I guess.
But yes, coming out in a special limited edition, obviously. All the good books do. And some bad ones. Not going to name names at this point in time.
Fair enough.
Identities have been protected.
Yeah. I think what will be interesting is sort of how well it works in terms of how much background reading do you have to do? Because
what I'm worried about is that we're going to get another Demonifuge incident out of this, because the Demonifuge comic book, fucking fantastic, brilliant, one of 40k's best pieces of fiction. And then they did the sequel novel, and it was shit.
that was, what was it called? Heretic Saint?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it was shit. I'm sorry, it was terrible. It was what was it? Like, oh, she's chosen by the Emperor. I'm not chosen by the Emperor. Let's shoot some cultists. She's chosen by the Emperor. I'm not chosen by the Emperor. Shoot some cultists. Oh, look, there's a word bear at the end.
Oh, great. Spoilers.
It's a few years old.
You're not missing much, I'll be honest. You're not missing much.
No, but, I mean, the setup of Inquisitor Sabathia was like, just this sentence. Imagine uncovering one of the Imperium's greatest treacheries, only to be gunned down by Grey Knights and left for dead in the middle of a warp storm. That's in setup.
Oh, yeah.
But let's hope they can pull it off, because, again, I'm worried about an F.R.L. Stern situation here. Because we had a setup at the end of the graphic novel with her and the her Eldari friend going off to the Black Library, and they fucking don't in the novel. They just...
They set it all up and then they go, shall we go then? Nah. Let's go to Space McDonald's instead.
And her Eldari friend, I forgot his name. It's like Kilthari or something. I've forgotten how you pronounce it.
The Harlequin.
Yeah. But, he's only in it for, 2 chapters, and he just fucks off and doesn't appear for the rest of the story. And then F.R.L. Stern goes into the Webway to Ivrain's palace in the Webway. And I'm like, what? When did Ivrain get a palace in the Webway? I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, you didn't hear?
It was, she invested in some real estate, it makes
It's a
sense.
timeshare, actually, so, that's probably why it hasn't come up.
It's probably the same bullshit as to why Araman goes, I can see that this Eldari witch can resurrect the 1,000 suns. So I'm going to go after the Necrons instead.
That's next on my reading list. I will try to explain that in the next episode.
Please do. Because I am very confused as to why he would abandon something that obviously works. He's seen it work with his own eyes to go off to some fucking robots.
Yeah, that's next on my reading list. So hopefully I'll be able to fill you in.
I've got a few things on my reading list because I've started Dark City, but I may not finish it. I haven't finished it yet, and I may not finish it for a while because at the time of recording, the Rogel Dawn book comes out tomorrow, and going on pre-order tomorrow as well is the next Siege of Terra book.
Echoes of Eternity, yeah. Literally, they led the promo of the Sunday preview with that book. They realise how big it is now.
And they're actually releasing the limited edition with the standard edition at the same time.
Whoop whoop.
Probably because they realised, oh yeah, with Warhawk, we released the copies in Australia first for about 6 weeks ahead of time for some reason.
Oh, because of...
And everyone was like, why the fuck have the Australians got it 6 weeks ahead of everyone else?
Because we get everything else so much later.
At such higher prices.
Yeah. We needed that. I mean, I'm fine, Jack, pull the ladder up, but
Apart from Transformers, they often come out in Australia before they come out here.
Whoop-dee.
Also at exorbitant prices, and apparently if you have a Masterpiece Megatron, you legally can't own one unless you're part of a registered gun collector's club.
Is that legit?
Apparently so. For the Masterpiece Megatron, it was legit, yeah.
Fucking hell. I'm not even remotely surprised.
He doesn't even make a realistic gun. It's slightly too big, so it just looks weird.
Yeah.
I also think the reason that they might have stopped with the special editions is, with the Siege of Terra anyway, is, to be honest, I don't get the idea of putting out a special edition ahead, or a limited edition ahead of the main release because of, people like us. Because if people want to know what happens in a book, they probably can't wait 6 to 8 weeks for the standard edition to come out. They'll just go and find the spoilers, either listening to someone like us or reading it up online. And so sales go down. At least, maybe.
Oh, well, I found that thing with about the Megatron thing. Considered a replica gun and therefore a restricted import by Australian customs. Mass shipments and individual packages of the toy were seized, requiring buyers in some areas to obtain a special permit to own a toy of Megatron.
I'm going to be honest. I am never shocked when it comes to stupid shit Australian customs are doing, because I remember when I moved over here, when we were catching the plane, I'm a dual national, so for some reason my parents got me a British passport, and we nearly missed our flight because they kept us there for like an hour going, but why do you have British passports? And I was like there was, being shown.
You were like 10 at the time.
I was 10. I was just like, bruh, what? So, and, the thing is, there was obviously very easy to prove that, that my brother and I were dual nationality, and my mother was English, and my father was dual national.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, we're just going to mess with you just in case. And it's like, okay, great. But then if you cough in the wrong direction, they literally disappear you like at Disneyland. Yeah.
So. And you could have done something worse. You could own a toy robot.
Okay, if you take a transformer through customs, they will literally just salt your lineage.
Yeah.
That's it. You're gone. You're black bag. Never to be seen again. And rightly so.
On a slightly unrelated note, Wib, are you going to get the M. Bison Megatron?
No.
Yes!
I'll be honest, I have very little fondness for Street Fighter, so it doesn't really do much for me.
You need to get the X-Jet
I'm not buying...
that is awful and was like 80 quid, and now you can get it for 25 because no bugger wants it.
I'm not buying the Expanse, it looks terrible.
It really... Apparently it is just really shit as well, which is very funny.
Sorry for people that don't care about Transformers.
It's all good.
There's also a Rio Optimus Prime if you're interested.
Yeah, which is sort of it's Octane really, which is even, or I guess Tank.
I was
depending on how you want to do it.
Yeah.
Although I do really like the little headmaster units. There's a little Ryu. That's very fun.
Mini you.
Anyway, Warhammer.
Okay. Next stop.
The upcoming Street Fighter Warhammer crossover. No, I'm just kidding. But there is another crossover
Can
with
you
Warhammer.
Imagine?
There is another crossover with Warhammer and Magic the Gathering.
Is there?
Someone leaked images of Inquisitor Greyfax as a Magic the Gathering card. Apparently it's official art.
Oh, missed that.
Okay, I'm going to interject here for a second. So, I don't know any of you all played Destiny 2. There's been a recent crossover between Destiny 2 and Fortnite, because Fortnite is the Funko Pop of video games.
Oh, yeah.
It just collects IPs. Yeah. Everything's in it. To be fair, the armor that you can get in Destiny 2 that's like Fortnite, it's pretty, it's like that neon kind of cyberpunk looking. It's cool. I like it. I am genuinely surprised we ain't had Fortnite 40k stuff.
Oh, don't give them ideas.
No, I don't need to. I can guarantee you there's some big old exec whacking off in front of a mirror, pitching it right now.
Who doesn't want to see Gilliman getting punched in the face by Goku whilst, I don't
flossing.
know. Whilst Rick Sanchez stands in the background flossing, yes.
Yeah, who doesn't want that?
Who doesn't want to see IP slurry?
Honestly, that was just Newgrounds.
Kinda.
Holy hell, we've grown up and we've made Newgrounds. Great, love that. I love that for our generation. But yeah, I'm gonna be very interested to see if that does happen, because I'm honestly surprised it hasn't so far.
I think it's because Games Workshop has always sat in this sort of slightly unusual place where they have very much a captive audience, and they're getting bigger and bigger, but they still haven't quite reached the mainstream sort of acceptance. They are still
a little bit kind of mainstream adjacent.
It's quite close, I think, these days, because everyone knows what it is. But well,
I mean, it's the whole thing of everyone at school, everyone you talk to about 40k, they go, oh yeah, a friend of mine was into that, or a friend of mine gave me a model for some reason, Or, I played the hell out of that, but then I stopped because
it got too expensive.
It got too expensive.
It's usually the
like,
reason.
literally, it's just like part of the background radiation of being British.
Yes.
I feel like everyone
has given it a shot.
Or is at least 40k adjacent, or Warhammer adjacent. But
yeah, I've been trying. I've built a few of my spare Stormcast with the hope of getting my partner to paint one. It's been 3 weeks. I'm losing hope of even getting them to sit down. Never mind, give it a go.
It's finding the magic model that they go, oh, I really like that actually, and then you're like, wouldn't it be cool if you painted it? Here.
Yeah, I actually came across that at Warhammer Club. I'll keep it brief because students. But literally, someone was like, "I don't get it. What have you done to my friend that they're now so into Warhammer?" And then they got dragged along to the Warhammer show. And ooh. And found
I really like
and they found something that they quite like the look of, and suddenly it was like, okay, now we're having a three-way conversation about this rather than just you sitting there annoyed while I talk to your mate. So
it's one of the things. Like I think, like I think we often spend a lot of time. I mean, we as in everybody within the community, like we complain a lot and everything, but like ultimately because there are so many different models and there's so many different sides to it. Like you can be into the fiction or you can be into purely the game. But also people who just paint. There's like so many different ways to engage with it that there's going to be something for most people that they will enjoy some aspect of it.
It's just like a Beatles discography. There's such a wide swathe.
There's going to be
different
something.
Things. There's going to be something in there that you'll like.
Yeah.
So maybe you can like show your partner like Squigs or something, and they'll be like,
well,
actually.
To be fair, I've got Stormcast, Orcs, 15 flavours of elf and demons literally just sat around in my office. So I've kind of put all my cards on the table.
Sneak, what you need to do is you need to get the sassy Nurgling and put it in their wallet and take out all of their cards. So when they go to pay for something at Tesco, they're going to be like, oh.
He is really cute though.
I know. Sassy Nurgling's so cute. And then I can't see. I haven't thought ahead, but I can't see that actually being a problem.
I was going to say, how much begging do you want me to do in the following? Please don't lock me out of the house for taking all your bank cards away and replacing it with a Warhammer model.
They try and lock you out, but you've got you've replaced their keys with a side Terra jewel, and they're like, Christ, okay.
It's a bloody expensive set of keys.
Yeah, but the most beautiful set of keys that deserve a beautiful paint job.
And admittedly,
we do not condone any of this behaviour. Let it be clear, we do not condone this behaviour. Do not do this.
My views are completely my own. It has no affiliation.
Your views aren't even your own.
They're not even my own. It's the government that putting in my thought meets. Wow. Yeah, but no, probably don't do that to your partners, people listening. But Tack, you absolutely should do that to your partner because then they'll get it at 40k.
Anyway, shall we take a jaunt over to the...
Can I finish talking about what I was?
Oh yeah,
No.
sorry.
Yeah, because they actually leaked the Magic the Gathering cards for 5 Warhammer characters for Abaddon and Despoiler, Inquisitor Greyfax, the Swarm Lord, and Sharak. Sorry, 4, not 5, sorry. And apparently Magic the Gathering players have seen these cards and saying that they're very shit. So...
Oh.
Good. I thought the licensed cards they did were all like reskins of already existing cards. I thought that sounded good.
Apparently all those ones were shit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that checks out. Like, I might be wrong there. I have this thing with when anyone talks about Magic the Gathering, my eyes glaze over. I'm sure the game's wonderful, but I just can't. I just can't, apparently.
Yeah, that's
but that was my understanding. Because I know the Godzilla ones were like that, if I recall.
I honestly, I don't know. Because I'm not into nerdy stuff. I like cool stuff like 40k. Yeah.
Dear, oh dear.
Right, now you can move on.
Okay.
Right. Necromunda, 2 things. 1, Escher jet bikes.
Yeah, they're rad.
They're
I love them.
cute.
I want to put grots on them. I don't know how easy that'll be, but I want to do it.
You're going to try it. I know you are.
Yes, so these are the cutters, and can be given to queens, matriarchs, prospects, and death maidens, making them so you can actually put your heroes on them as well, as long as you don't mind the crash risk. But they do look really cool, like proper. I reckon, like you say, about putting grots on them, orcs would have so much fun with these. Orc players could have so much fun making like death copters or war biker conversions or something like that out of these, or even just taking the jet bike, putting it on the back of a bike and calling it a death killer war trike and being done with it. Yes, please.
Okay, I've just had a dangerous thought. I've realised that if you can cover up the controls section, then those would make really good engines for a pod racer.
Of course.
Yep.
Oh no.
Okay. I've just filed that information away in my brain.
Yeah. The other one, for those who prefer things a bit more hands-on, is the Goliath Forge boss with hand combi flamer, combi grenade launcher, and a renderizer. That's literally what the act is called.
And it looks shit.
Renderizer.
It looks really old school, like in a bad way.
Yeah,
it does. It does kind of have the slightly like
derpy,
odd proportions and like posing of the original Goliath models, like the old plastic ones.
Yeah, but it just looks really terrible. I'm sorry.
I think the problem he's got is that he's weighed down with so much equipment. He does look like he's coming back from the shops and he's carrying one too many bags. Like,
oh, he's a strong boy. He can carry them all in one trip.
like, yeah, he does look just a bit weighed down with everything he's got going on.
No, it's the weight of it's the weight of guilt he has to carry with him for killing all those birds for that shitty hairstyle.
It's the weight of his crushing depression.
Oh Christ, getting real there, Remo. Oh God.
Pouring out for our depression, homies.
Yay.
Hope everyone at home has taken their meds today. Make sure you have.
And drinking water.
I can't take any more of my meds until a couple of hours from now.
That's fair.
Right. So, final thing then. Well, it's the Nova Open on Wednesday. Thursday morning UK time, 1 a.m. GMT. But there is a massive Warhammer reveal coming. So they've got 40k, AOS, Heresy, and Underworlds coming. So that's at 1 o'clock UK time, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, and 10 o'clock on Thursday for the Aussies. So various times if you are interested. I haven't actually watched the... Oh, God, that's loud. Excuse me. There's a little teaser video which does not have any teasers in it whatsoever. So that was a waste of time.
What's a teaser for a teaser?
It was a thing. Be sure to be here for this thing, for this, and this. There was absolutely, they couldn't even throw just one cheeky silhouette in there. It was Never mind. The last thing I wanted to mention was they've put together the sort of roadmap for Kill Team, and they've put out the 3 upcoming expansions. And I thought, just as a bit of lighthearted fun before we move on, see if we can predict any of the kill teams that might be coming in them.
Okay, so what are they?
So we've got Shadow Vaults.
Oh, well, that's obviously a HRUD expansion.
Oh, obviously. It's honestly, it's been long
yes,
enough.
it's obvious. It's obvious.
I was going to say Custodes, but okay.
Okay.
Soul Shackle.
Oh, that's got to be some like spooky dark.
Soul Shackle. That
kind of like.
I'm guessing either Necrons or Drukhari.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the last one is Gallow Fall, because the Space Hulk's called Gallow Dark.
Okay, that. I don't know. That smacks of like grunts or like Imperial Guard or something. Because that's like also great name, by the way. That slaps. I love it.
It'll just be the Voidsman and the crew again. It's like you get a box set. Haha.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Same team but different terrain.
I wonder if they'll, because they're doing the whole pseudo Space Hulk thing, I wonder if they'll put out a thing that is kind of the classic Space Hulk setup, so Terminators and Gene Stealers.
That would be really cool.
Yes,
Can you
please.
have Terminators in Kill Team? I forget.
They haven't. They've only done Primaris Marines, but they've not done any of the like aggressors or Centurions or. But I mean, if you can put Custodes in there, then you have to be able to put Terminators in there because I mean they're similar power levels, if not the Custodes even being better 1-for-1.
It turns out the Custodian kill team was just one guy.
It's just Greg. Hey.
My name is Greg. Well, I mean, they have like a billion names.
Yeah, statistically, with the amount of names they have, one of them is bound to have the name Greg. So.
Golden Greg.
Yeah.
Golden Greg went to Greg's.
I'm just thinking of like that weird like old Greg sketch from the Mighty Boosh. It's like, I'm Gold Greg. I don't know.
For some reason I'm just reminded of Austin Powers. I love gold.
Oh God. John Travolta should have played like him throughout the entire movie. I'm sorry, because he is just that creepy.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And then Nicolas Cage could have played him. It would have been awesome.
This is just becoming like a mashup of Austin Powers. The first 2 minutes of Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, and... Oh, sorry, Goldmember and
Fake
Face
fan.
Off.
Fake fan.
I've not
Face
thought...
Off is the best.
I've got a better idea.
Okay.
Right. John Travolta playing Nicolas Cage, playing Jeremy Irons, playing Willem Dafoe, playing John Travolta, playing Goldmember.
Okay, but we've got to have like Did you say Christopher Walken?
No, no.
Okay,
He's going to be
Christopher Walken.
He's going to be Dr. Evil.
No, he's going to be Austin Powers. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
This isn't over. Incredible. Bears.
This is dream casting. I love it. It's perfect.
And yet, not a single Dreamcast is involved.
Oh, I have one. I need to fix the lens on it, and it's an incredible.
I need to fix the lid on mine because, like, if the lid's partially open, it will play. But if it's closed, it won't play anymore. It's weird.
That reminds me of like consoles or like electronics when they get to a certain age, they're just like cranky old people. Where you're like, okay, Barbara, well, what we'll do is we'll get you a Starbucks, but we'll put it in a Greg's cup, and then
I'm reminded of my mate had a PlayStation when they were brand new, like a PS1 original PlayStation, and he got it chipped so it could play.
brand new chips, like those were wanky. You have to be careful with those. To
play Japanese games on it. He had to put a bit of blue tack on the end of a pen and jam it into the mechanism.
Into the button, so that
it could play with the
as if it was
so it could play with the lid tray open, and that was the only way to make it actually play those games. Well, like it was a time.
There was the older kind of one before you got the internal chip, where you got like the NTSC like adapter or whatever, where what you'd have to do is you'd have to boot it with a demo disc and then take it out after it registered the copyright information, and then put the chip one in. I mean, I've never broken the law.
The funny thing is, like, I've got like a Sega Saturn from when it was brand new. It still works perfectly to this day. And and to play Japanese games, all you got to do is just put a cartridge in the cartridge slot. That's all you got to do. Yeah. Bam, action replay cartridge. Bam.
Beautiful. Yeah. Oh god, action replay.
No modding needed. No modding needed.
Well, I mean, you've still got like Wib still has a Sega Game Gear.
Oh yeah, but that's real messed up.
The thing is, it's like with very old. Okay, listen, youngsters listening to this. In the olden days, before these fancy LCD crystal displays and all that kind of fun stuff, we had cathode ray tube.
I mean, it wasn't a CRT in a
no. But like in the older screens. We had to warm the damn things up.
Well, the thing is, the Game Gear has a thing with over time the capacitors, and this is true of anything that has those old school LCD displays. Like the ones that are in old 90s camcorders have this as well. The capacitors, the liquid in them just leaks out, and it means that you can see what's on the screen, provided you let it warm up for a significant amount of time, longer than you will play a Game Gear game for, and definitely longer than a Game Gear can hold battery life for.
Because it's literally the size of a breeze block.
Whereas an original Game Boy, because I've still got an original one, and those just work fine still because they're so basic.
I have 3 Game Boy Colors.
Those just work fine.
They do, but all my cartridges have run out of battery, so there's no saving. So all my saves where I had all the Pokemon unlocked and everything, and then I can't actually play them again because the batteries.
You got to open up, and I think they require a special screwdriver.
They
to
do.
Open them.
They need the weird style one, which I'm probably going to do one day, but.
And I'm just sat here with the oldest thing I've got, a console-wise, a GBASP. That's the best I've got.
All I know is with the original Game Boys and that is that after a time you can start getting mold in the screens.
I never got that because I'm not disgusting.
Yeah, I've never got that, and I've got one that's from the 80s, and I've never had that, and it's been played a lot.
I mean, I guess if you're in you pop them in the attic and it's really damp or something.
It's
I
not
guess
even,
in some
it's not even
countries
that.
that have.
It's not even due to that. It's because the fact that the screen starts to be very, very finely separate over time. So sometimes you need to, and then moisture gets in there, and then mold, and then
you basically got your own kind of science microscope slide with the 2 bits of glass.
You've made a very small. What do they call them? Where you make a sealed ecosystem in a jar or something?
Like Petri dish,
No. It's a thing people do where they'll get a jar and they'll put in water inside it from a pond or whatever and some plants and then create a sealed
terrarium.
Terrarium, that's the thing.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I got worried when you started talking about jars. I was like, oh.
As long as we don't start talking about coconuts or broken arms, everything will be fine.
Or My Little Pony figures.
That's what I think that's what Rem was mentioning. Yeah. Whereas, it also don't Google that, beautiful listeners. You deserve better.
Anyway, this is a Warhammer podcast, isn't it?
What's Warhammer?
A Warhammer is a weapon of war which you use to bonk people on the head and go to jail.
Yeah, you go, stop it. We're talking about Game Boys. Bonk.
Yeah.
Stop hammer time.
Hammer time. I don't know why I always remember that one. But
what were we talking about?
We were talking probably about 40k.
MC Hammer, apparently.
More like MC Escher. Yeah, see, that
was a Family Guy joke.
Was it?
What, the one I made?
The MC Escher is going up the stairs and going down the stairs and going up the sideways stairs.
Oh, God. I honestly...
I don't think I ever saw that one, so...
No, I didn't see it. Because what I have been doing lately is, because I probably have ADHD, I can't not look at my phone before I go to bed. So I've been sitting in bed looking at Instagram videos of segments from Family Guy and just kind of watching them and going, oh, bad. And then I'll look at the next one and I'll go, oh, that's not okay. And I'll do that until I fall asleep. Oh, okay, MC, okay. Thank you for the link there, Rem. Oh my God.
If you're going to watch something that's Seth MacFarlane related, just watch The Orville. It's quite good.
I've heard it's awful.
Hey.
It's not. It's actually really good.
Okay.
Apparently it's been the best Star Trek program in ages.
Season 3 especially. It's
what we are now?
It's season 3.
Yeah,
it's just finished airing. Really, really, really good. Although saying that, Strange New Worlds, the relatively new.
Within the past 7 years, yeah.
I mean, I say relatively new. It came out very recently, and it's just all out now.
Okay.
I've watched the first couple of episodes of that, and that's really good as well. Been watching the latest season of Discovery as well, which is not as good as Strange New Worlds, but it's fine. It's fine.
And for those of you who didn't know, Leonard Nimoy, aka Mr. Spock, he sang a song about Bilbo Baggins, which takes us to Middle-earth. And there's no news about Middle-earth.
Mate, that was a good segue. Oh my goodness. Very nice. 10 out of 10.
Thank you. It's a shame there's nothing to talk about regarding Middle-earth, but hey.
Hey, there were some models announced or on pre-order.
I'm pretty sure that Middle-earth, the game, has models, yes. There we go. That's the news for that one.
Yeah. Models exist for this game system.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Don't quote us.
Leonard Nimoy also voiced Galvatron in the movie.
He did.
Yeah.
Bit of a weird choice, though, I have to admit.
In the Star Trek
I dig
movie,
it.
he voiced Galvatron.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's next? Let's ignore this dead air. It's fine.
I mean, we have done the entire news, so...
There we go.
Okay.
That's it.
Now we will all sit quietly and think about what we've done.
I won't. I cannot sit quietly.
This is true. This is true.
You will think about what you've done, though.
Oh,
you know
I'll
what you
fade
did.
in and out.
I mean, yeah, but that's just like generalized anxiety. Like,
No, generalized anxiety is like, you sit there and you think about what you've done, what you could have done, what you haven't done,
Yeah.
what you might need to do that you don't know about, while the Sonic underwater music increases in
give me a
tempo.
second. I think I need to take up a panel.
By the Sonic underwater music, do you mean the drowning music or Labyrinth
Yeah.
Zone or...
Yeah, well, it just keeps getting
The
like,
drowning music.
yeah.
Take that, but make it a shepherd's tone.
I will say this, though. On the Dreamcast, it was absolutely hilarious, the fact that you can make Sonic drown in the swimming pool.
Good old Sonic.
Yeah.
Sonic Adventure fucking slapped. I'm sorry.
It did. It was great.
I mean, the second one was way better. It was really cool. But yeah.
I
also, Jet Set Radio is one of
Jet Set,
the
yeah.
best games.
That was
so
great.
good. It's such a... I think I do have it on Steam.
Yeah,
You can get
do,
it on Steam, and it's... Oh, God, that game is so incredible. I love it.
They never did do a port of Jet Set Radio Future, did they?
No, that was just like an Xbox, original Xbox exclusive, and yeah. Which is basically the one reason we have an original Xbox.
No, one of the other reasons we have an original Xbox is so that I can
Yakuza.
play recklessly Yakuza missions, a game that I have an odd fondness for.
Yeah.
And Dead Air.
And Dead Air, because we've just, again, talked ourselves into a strange corner.
Sorry, I'm going down a rabbit hole of the fact that the Voxcast and Stormcast podcasts are apparently still a thing that GW does.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Well, I can't tell for certain because they're not dated, but I mean, one of the most recent Voxcast, episode 30, is about the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness game. It's with one of the writers and developers for that, so I'm assuming they're still going.
What does it have on their channel? I assume they're on their channel, isn't it?
No, these are on Warhammer. There's a link on Warhammer Community to podcasts and stuff. I don't know how old they actually are because they literally don't date them. Neither do we, but because they're not on YouTube, they don't have upload dates either, so you can't. I don't know.
Because they used to have their podcast things on the Warhammer YouTube channel, didn't they?
I think so.
Yeah, I think I saw something about that.
But it's hard to tell.
I'm going to say there's a playlist for them, I think.
Yeah, because everything in the background looks old. Like, it's still the red books in the background, and like Warhammer Quest Blackstone Fortress, Necromunda Dark Uprising. These are all old boxes, so I don't know.
And plus, the GW name wizard is going to be cursing.
Okay, so there's no playlist. Voxcast. Most recent one I can see is from... hang on. Voxcast, the official 140,000 podcast. Okay, let's see what the most recent one is. Episode 35. And that was 2020.
Oh, episode 35 isn't even on Warhammer Community, so... Oh, no, it is. Cool. Yes, it is. No, it is. Sorry, it is. It is.
Jez Goodwin and Darren Latham.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so they stopped it a couple of years ago. Fine. Just didn't know if they were still going.
But they did also have the Warhammer Community podcast, which apparently is a different thing.
Yeah.
And I can see there's an episode 14 from 2020.
They're up to episode 42 now, apparently. But, I don't... There's no dates on anything.
Hang on, I'm just going to look for podcasts.
Weird, just existing in a weird nebulous, like, outside of time.
The Warhammer Community podcast. Okay, so they got an entire playlist of that up to episode 42. And episode 42 was 2021.
Fair enough. It was just interesting because I'd forgotten they were even a thing. So it was just like, oh yeah, this is a thing.
Honestly, like, I think I listened to one of them, which an episode called Hindsight, which was pretty good, it was in 2020.
All right.
Hi, everyone.
Okay.
I would love it if you all just edited me out of the entire podcast. So it's just like, everyone's just kind of like...
Just make a note to edit out that joke in particular.
No, just edit me out. I don't belong here.
No, it just is interesting because obviously Podcastus is coming up on its 5th birthday. I think. Because 27, it was 2nd year uni that we started it. No, 6th birthday. It's coming up on its 6th birthday in a couple of weeks, a couple of episodes' time.
Be old enough to vote.
Oh, what?
Carry on, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, old enough to vote, right? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, my brain caught up. Yeah, sorry.
Mine did a little bit after yours did. I'm sad to say, but that's just the way it goes. But yes.
But no, it's just interesting because we've been doing this for so long, and it's just interesting, right? Because GW make a podcast. They make 3 bloody podcasts, and none of them sort of made it out of the pandemic. And we're just here chugging along, doing whatever it is that we do.
Shit posting mainly.
Mostly shit posting and book club. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, when you're doing like an official podcast that is part of a
brand,
it's part of your brand, it's part of your marketing. There's very different pressures on you to keep going than on a enthusiast podcast. So it's, you know, they can be harder to keep going for that reason. So. Yeah, it's functionally a different, even though they have the same audience, basically, it's a very different set of conditions placed on them. So
yeah, and a very different set of expectations as well. Like,
absolutely,
we can say whatever the hell we want, but they'll have had to work to a very tight script in terms of, we're talking about this is why this person is here, we're here to talk to them, we're not discussing... Well, we might touch other topics, but like when we invite a Black Library author on, which we've done multiple times, we'll talk to them about what they've worked on, ask them about their books and the Black Library in general. But it will still be podcasters, but with a Black Library focus in one bit. Whereas if you get a Black Library author on an official Warhammer podcast, the expectation is you're going to talk about that author's work most of the time.
And there's a lot of like notes you have to hit because it is an official thing. There'll be certain things you aren't able to mention.
You can't go off on a long tangent about Dreamcasts and Australian Megatrons.
Yeah. So what's the
legal
point
status.
in them, quite frank? No. But so there's the guidelines will be a lot heavier. So yeah.
Yeah. Plus Wade Price was doing all 3 of them, so I can imagine you got a bit sick of it.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine.
Probably because Nick. Anyway, I was thinking of someone else. Never mind. Ignore me. I was thinking of someone else. I was thinking of Nick.
Anyway, let's do the other thing that Adeptus Podcast is good for, because apparently people would just be quite happy if we just did book club and that was the entire show. But yes, I know obviously you said you might not finish it, Rem, but where are we with Dark City? Do you want to talk about it, or is it still too early?
I'm about a quarter of the way in, and it's pretty much all just set up. Nothing really happened. To be honest.
Fair enough.
So I can't really talk about beyond the fact that I wouldn't really consider this a spoiler because it's like directly leading off from the last book. So like Inquisitor Krau's gone missing and his retinue is basically trying to find him. That's where we are so far.
Somehow the Inquisitor has returned.
I mean, after the lunacy of the Blackstone Fortress book, I think it's nice to sort of take things at a slower pace.
Yeah. I will say this, though. It might be a while before I carry on with that book because, as I said earlier, tomorrow I'm expecting the Rogal Dawn book to arrive, and going on pre-order tomorrow is the next Siege of Terra book, so those two are probably going to go further ahead, in terms of the reading order.
Yeah, that's more than fair. I've got Ahriman Eternal and then Outgunned on my reading list.
Snipe Wib, what have you been reading?
Bugger all recently, to be perfectly honest.
Nothing I can talk about on a YouTube podcast.
I read Godsbane, the Lumineth novel.
Before you jump into that, I just want to ask, Wib, did you manage to get a copy of Warboss?
No.
He's a fake fan.
That was unfortunately that's a bit too pricey for me.
Understandable.
Because wasn't it like 90 quid or something for the one that had the
it was, yeah.
Yeah, that's I would have liked to, but that's just I can't afford that. So.
Because if you're interested, it's still available.
Oh,
The limited,
wow.
the limited edition is still available at the time of recording.
I am slightly shocked that
Is it
that's still
because it
available.
was so goddamn expensive?
I think it might also be due to the subject matter, because orcs generally not as popular as space marines.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a teensy bit more niche.
Considering
The fact that,
Yeah.
but 2,000 copies has not sold out in over a week is
That's
that
crazy.
is shocking. That is genuinely shocking.
That is bananas. Yeah.
I mean, not to put too fine a point in it, but a lot of GW's market is in the UK, and as a country, we have a lot of reasons to look at big purchases and go, maybe not today.
yeah. We'll leave that one there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to
You
check
are
to see
right.
if it's still available on the New Zealand side, because that's also a good judge to buy as well. So, like, if it's sold out on New Zealand store, which is being sold for $240. My condolences, New Zealand. And yes, it is still available on New Zealand as well.
You see, that one makes sense when it's that's
when it's
just,
like
yeah.
when it's like a third of your rent each
Yeah.
month.
Don't get me wrong, it looks like an absolutely gorgeous set. But yeah.
The Australian version is also still available at $195.
Cheap at twice the price.
Let's check up in the American store. Yep, still available in an American store, $150.
Okay, like
So
it's weird because it's. I mean, I either just it's just.
I mean,
not appealing or whatever. I don't know.
for comparison, the Mega Limited Edition for the Ephraim Stern novel, that sold out in 2 minutes. It was sold out before the store opened up at 10 o'clock.
Yep.
And look how successful that was.
Yeah, Darkness in the Blood was sold out within about 5-10 minutes. Spirit of the Emperor was sold out in about 10 minutes. The Gaunt's Ghost one was sold out in about 10 minutes, and this one's still there sitting there a week later.
Bizarre.
I think it's just because like people don't give a shit about orcs.
Which is they're wrong to not do that, but
If people choose to be incorrect
They can
and
choose
bad,
to be
that's
incorrect and
their
wrong.
choices.
I will say this to everyone listening: if it's still available by the time this episode comes out, why don't you be a nice chap or chapette and give Snipe Wib a copy of this book?
no, that's it.
They have a PO box address if you want to plug your PO box, so
No.
people know when to send it. Where to
no,
send
PO
it.
box is closing quite soon, so I
Last chance to send Battenberg to the PO box then.
You
Yes.
butt. There we go. Sorry, pardon my language.
All I heard was
Remleiz is a
you
poopy
butt.
butt. I will touch your butt.
Okay, moving on.
Wib's right there.
What?
Oh God.
Huh? I missed that.
Oh God.
You know when you feel that a podcast has kind of gone a little off the rails?
No?
To be fair, when was it last on the rails?
Dude, anytime
I don't
we
know, I think-
2019.
I was going to say, this episode in particular, I think it started going off the rails when we started reminiscing about, like, old editions of 40k in the first 3 minutes.
5
No, because
minutes,
that's still like, keeping up with the podcast's like subject, whereas like then we were just like I like Dreamcasts, like you got a Terrarium, a Game Boy, simple as.
Anyway,
It's got a bit weird.
Godsbane.
Right, yeah, okay. So I appreciate this is an Age of Sigmar novel, and this is also a Lumineth Realmlords. It's another elf novel, but
Elves.
it was a really good book. So, context. Godsbane is a staff that was in a storm vault, and the book begins, well, not quite begins, the sort of first arc of the book is about a demonic host and sort of a Tzeentchian army going to try and raid this storm vault for the weapon. And they do so, and the demon prince claims Godsbane. And then is killed by some random battle mage of the Collegiate Arcane who yanks the staff out of his hand and super uber deaths the demon prince with it. So you see, Godsbane is a weird weapon. It's clues in the name. Godsbane is a weapon that a mortal can use to kill a god.
Ooh.
But a god cannot use it. This is important. So, it is returned to Settlers Gain, which is the Lumineth human city in Hysh with the big college and all of that. And as they are returning it, there's a big argument among the humans and the Stormcast and the Lumineth about who gets the staff. And the Lumineth win the argument and say, we want it because we want to study it. And it's their city, they get their way. And then the human battle mage nicks it.
Cheeky fucker.
Like, literally walks in with with the primary the protagonist, which is a Lumineth Scenari Enlightener, you know, the new one from the battle box. One of those. And basically just goes, grab, blast, 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 and basically kills like 3 or 4 Lumineth stone dead with it. Bearing in mind that the Collegiate Arcane are trained by the Lumineth in Hysh in that college. And so the Lumineth are way better wizards. But no, with Godsbane, it's not even close. And the second arc revolves around that guy, Nerontes Fane, his name is, sort of running away and sort of building an army because he's part of this secret anti-god cult. No, I'm not kidding, that's the thing. They sort of see it as, the gods should not be meddling in mortal affairs. Whether that's the Chaos Gods or the Gods of Order, they should not be meddling in our affairs. So we've got Godsbane. If any god tries to deal with us, we'll kill them. They just want mortals to be left alone. So they're building an army. And I think Nerontes Fane is also canonically gay, though it's not really said specifically. I think he's canonically gay, but that's just a side point.
That's cool.
Meanwhile, the Lumineth Enlightener gets arrested for idiocy, essentially, because of how the hell did you let this happen and how did you not notice?
Arrested for dumbassery.
I'll be honest, the times I've been arrested, that's basically why I've been arrested.
How did you not notice this mage was corrupt? How did you not realise what was going on? How did you let him escape, you idiot? Chuck him in prison.
Your charge is being a silly bumface. How do you plead?
I mean, I'm simplifying greatly, but this is the idea. And then they go to try and... So she breaks out with the aid of a daughter of Cain. That's a secondary subplot. And they go with a small group of Caradron to try and steal the staff. And they would succeed. Bear in mind, at this point, Godsbane is killing an entire army of Oryx in one shot. Like, literally, it's killing 1,000
He's turned
Oryx.
on God mode. What a prick.
Exactly. Hold that thought, Snipe. That's going to pay.
Okay.
There's Chekhov's gun. So, so they try to steal the staff. They fail, and Teclis turns up, and Nerontes Fane kills him.
Oh,
okay.
So yeah, Teclis just dies at this point. And they're like, what? Hang on.
That was a twist.
Yeah, that was my reaction. And then fast forward, third act, Settlers Gain is under siege from the Cult of the Black Sun, who have been approached by an army, the Tzeentchian army that they beat earlier with their new leader, and told it to go screw. Well, to be more accurate, the not boyfriend of Nerontes Fane was listening to the Zangor shaman and was then executed on the spot, meaning that the Zangor shaman went, well, you're just going to have to die now, Nerontes Fane. So they nearly got Chaos corrupted, but didn't. Just to prove the point, these are not Chaos cultists. This is not a Chaos corruption thing. So there's a siege, and the Lumineth and the Stormcast ride out to face them around the same time as the demons attack. Fane is going on a killing spree, but Teclis isn't actually dead. It's set up in the sort of intro of Act 2 and Act 3. Teclis can just clone himself, and, you know, he can basically Horcrux himself, where he splits, where he can have multiple versions of himself running around, but with less power in each one. So one of his sort of versions of himself was killed by Fane, but he's like, I can't engage Fane again because I might actually die.
Oh my god, he's the elven version of Fabius Bile.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. But yes, anyway, so Teclis is not involved in this fight, and Fane is just going out of control. And then, right at the climax, there's the standoff between the two mages, Fane is winning, and Teclis shows up again. that the real Teclis shows up. And Thane goes to kill him. And he can't. The staff won't listen to him anymore because there's an engraving on the staff. God abuses man. Man overthrows God. Man becomes God.
Women inherit the earth. Sorry. I had to put a Jurassic Park.
Yeah, fair.
No longer a servant, no less than a god.
The idea being that if a mortal were to use Godsbane to kill the gods, they themselves would be, because he was becoming deified by the cult. They worshipped him for his power and his abilities with Godsbane, and Godsbane was just calling to like, come on, keep tapping into that power. And eventually he became so powerful and godlike, as it were, that Godsbane stopped responding. And so the Lumineth takes the staff, bang, and blows him up.
Okay. Nice.
I am missing out a huge amount of details, like the fact that this staff, well, I already told you, it can kill Teclis. It killed a Stormcast and prevented them from reforging. It's killed a Demon Prince stone dead. Not back to the warp for a respawn timer, like dead. So this staff is ridiculously overpowered. And the whole battle is just a game of hot potato of who can get the staff off Thane until Thane realizes that he can't use it anymore because literally he's now part god because he's become so powerful. And so the story ends with the Lumineth essentially just being like, you know what? Lock it away in his ear. Fine. It's too powerful. Shove it off to his ear and the Stormcast take it away. There's a huge amount I'm skipping because I'm conscious of the clock, but you've got the whole setup of the Order of the Black Sun, how they've infiltrated the college, how they bring in like students into the fold, a little bit about how the Lumineth train the pupils in that they have lectures and then weekly exams, and if you fail the exam, you're out. Magical exams, you understand.
Okay. Like, what's 2 plus, 5? Yeah, we're out of here.
Yeah, so one of them, for example, was having to deal with 4 elementals, one after another, using your own knowledge of the elements. That was the trial that we're shown. And all this different stuff, intrigue within the Tzeentchian faction, and how the Lumineth politics fits together, how the Kharadron work. And there's a really nice bit where there's a disgraced Kharadron captain who's like, you know what, forget the money, we just want to go and save these people because otherwise we don't get paid in the future. And the other Kharadron go like, fine, what's your plan? And just sort of begrudgingly sidestep the code in the names of saving people. Which was kind of nice. And the daughter of Cain, there's a further twist in here, that the daughter of Cain is someone who doesn't believe Morathi is a god and is trying to kill Morathi. She's in hiding and on the run because she tried to kill Morathi. So she's like, oh, do I help? Do I try and steal Godsbane? What do I even do? And all this stuff. So there's loads of really interesting bits of intrigue going on alongside blistering magical combat. So if you like intrigue, if you like fantasy magic, if you like the idea of prophecy, Chekhov's gun, and this sort of thing, I think Godsbane is a really good read. Dale Lucas has written 2 Lumineth novels with Realm Lords and this one, and it's 2 for 2. I really, really, really liked Realm Lords, and I really like Godsbane. So, Dale Lucas, you are very good at writing pointy ears. Well done.
No, that does sound, that does sound like a cool story, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, as I said earlier, next on my list is Ahriman Eternal, though admittedly I probably won't get to talk about it for several weeks because Remleiz will be drowning us in big book spoilers. And then I'm going to have a look at Outgunned, the new sort of novel that they've done about the Aeronautica pilot with the propagandist, because that just looks really, really interesting. And if Warboss comes out not on special edition, I'll pick that up too.
Fair enough.
So yes, that was a very abridged look at Godsbane.
No, sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've realised that something I do even, like, when I discuss books is I basically go through everything beat by beat by beat. I don't really skip bits. So there's far too many things that I basically, if you listen to me review a book, you've heard the whole book. Admittedly, I don't know if Godsbane's recent enough to warrant spoilers. Maybe just, I know we've not said it officially out loud.
Let me just check when it came out.
Yeah, because it wasn't
taping.
It wasn't that long ago. But I often find I end up spoiling the whole book. I've just done the major beats of this happened, then this happened, then this happened, rather than going into the deep dive. And I think I'm going to try and do that again if I can, because because I read a lot more widely rather than just the big important book of the month, I think probably if I end up reviewing every book in like 1,000,000% depth, then there'll be nothing for people to read if they just listen to the podcast all the time.
Right. May.
It's August. So, fine.
Yes.
I mean, frankly, reading a book in the year it came out is a bit much for me, but then I don't read as much as I used to. So.
Fair.
From it, I thought you were going to say, frankly, reading a book is too much.
I mean, at this point, honestly...
I read a lot, just, again, nothing I really... I feel would be appropriate to talk about. So, yeah.
It's not Battenberg recipes, is it?
Shut up, Remleiz, you don't know what I've been through. Don't
I wouldn't be
kink-shame
surprised
me.
if there's a few people in the comments that, okay, the Battenberg bit's getting a bit tired now.
Shut up. Like, this is to the comments, not you, Tack, don't worry.
It's been, but to be fair, Rem has been playing the same bit for about 120 episodes now. So
Jesus Christ, has it been... Oh my goodness.
Like,
If you really want
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
If you
right?
really want the fun thing, go back and look at how many episodes of Podcastus are actually in, and you go, ooh, okay.
I would love it if, like, there's... Because, I mean... I would love people being like, okay, yeah, 40k is great and all, but we want to hear the Battenberg discourse, please.
I don't think anyone has ever said that.
In the comments, please. They're going to be
one
like,
has
oh my
said
god,
this.
this is too much 40k.
In fairness, Wib, Snipe just said it.
Okay, there is one example of this.
Get fucked!
It'll serve me right to say something idly in a room full of pedants.
Oh, yeah, because as if you aren't one of the worst.
Exactly,
pedants.
I am counting myself in this.
Okay, fine.
By the way, guys, when are you going to do your Diggernob video for Codex and Client?
We gotta kind of do Gorkamorka proper before that, and and I'd like to try and get a physical copy of Diggernob to do that, but like, that book can be a time to get hold of, so...
Well, now that you've said it out loud... you're daring the universe to fuck with you.
We've got Battlefleet Gothic to do before Gorkamorka.
But which edition of Battlefleet Gothic?
Yes.
The proper one. And then we've got all of the...
Second edition?
all of the expanded books for it as well, so...
yeah. And I feel like I say this every single episode. When are we getting the re-invite on the Misanthropod?
We don't even know when we're recording the next episode.
Yeah.
Oh Christ! Right, fair enough. I'll stop asking. Then.
I'll tell you what. Once it cools down, we
Yeah.
are having you guys.
Our problem, as I've mentioned this many times before, our problem with guests on the Misanthropod has always been that we are too disorganised as a podcast to...
Speak for yourself. I am one of the most organised people.
to know when we are recording the next episode between the three of us, let alone arranging something like, okay, we've got a guest on and they're going to be at this time and this time, because there's so many people who we've been meaning to get on as guests, and it's just, that... We technically have a schedule, technically, as in we release broadly one a month. And if you'll notice how the distance between recent episodes, you'll see how good we've been at that recently.
It's because everything sucks and Britain is on fire.
I mean, our flat has been on fire, certainly.
Yeah, without
Jesus
getting
Christ.
too far into it, everything is on fire. And but no, we absolutely want you lovely folks
Yes.
back. So I can just be like, right, you're welcome to my world, bitch. You know, like full like Freddy Krueger kind of thing.
Yes. This is awfully meta. Shall we move on to whatever the next part of the podcast is supposed to be?
No.
Which I believe is the questions.
Yes, I believe it is.
Questiones.
So can you bring up the questions, please, Tack?
Already gone.
Oh yeah.
I actually organised several requests for another episode of Quizcastus, just as a point, since we did ask the comments about it last episode.
We did so well at that.
Honestly,
To be fair, you were pushing us a long way. For a long time, you were winning at the start.
we did way better than I thought, I'll be honest. I was expecting it to be a nil point situation the whole way.
But yeah, no, it was very, very fun.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
get why
great, yeah.
people like would be interested in seeing it again.
Yeah.
It's actually something I've always sort of game show formats, or even like sort of competition formats, but in a 40k scale, I've always kind of wanted to do. So it was nice to do that. Like, one thing I've always wanted to do, but like the sheer logistics of making it and filming it and making it into a watchable experience is to do basically Scrap Heap Challenge, but for a kit bash.
Don't say that.
Kit bash challenge.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing, but also the sheer logistics of making that.
I'll just say this though, if you did that, that just means Kirioth would win every episode.
That's fair.
This is true.
Yeah, Kirioth is ridiculous. That probably Kirioth wrote themselves as well, just for even more rub it in. I mean, I've literally used green stuff once.
I'm pretty good at like doing kit bashes and stuff, but like with everything to do with hobby things, I take so long to do everything that like. It's like, yes, well, in this episode, I'll get a leg done. Show
us some leg.
Yeah, I've realised just how difficult, like, being now working with full time and everything else, just like the fact that I have to paint in sort of sprees. Like over the summer holidays, I've managed to paint a Dark Apostle, a Dark Commune, which is the new Cultist HQ, a Battle Wagon, which I'm actually really proud of, and like 2 Bliss Barb Archers and 2 Myrmidesk Painbringers. Like, that was a slow week when I was at uni. Well, okay, a slow month, but that's the most hobby I've managed to get done for ages. So it's interesting once you get into the world of work and grow up, I guess, how much time hobby requires is...
Oh, yeah.
I've still got half... the Bliss Barb Archers I bought over a year ago. I've only literally painted 4 of them, and I painted 2 of them in the last month. So yeah, it's difficult.
Imagine what it'd be like to own models that you've owned for a decade and not painted yet.
Can't relate.
Wow, that'd be awful, wouldn't it?
Let's see, what's the oldest model that I own that I have yet to paint?
Game Boy Advance. Sandbagged so hard. Damn.
I've got some orcs from 5th edition I never got around to painting.
Yeah, that's
I have some 2nd edition Striking Scorpions.
Were they bought in 2nd edition though?
Yes.
Oof. Well then I guess you win.
Then shut your mouth.
Back when the models were lead.
Oh Christ.
Yeah, I think I've got
when you had 4 in a blister.
I've got some Stormcast that I never got done from the AOS 2, but that was only 4 years ago, so that's not really good. I think my oldest model that I haven't painted is about 4 years, which is, I know that's pocket change to probably a lot of people, but it's going to get a lot worse now that I don't have as much time to hobby. I've literally flogged off all the Lumineth that I haven't already painted. I've flogged a chunk of my daughter's Arcane. I've tried flogging some of my orcs, but no one wants it. I'm hoping to sell some of my Ideneth on, because I bought a bunch of Ideneth off eBay and Twitter and have not touched it. So I'm just going to move it on again because no. So yeah. And the main thing I've been doing is just giving armies to kids to start Warhammer at Warhammer Club because it just saves them investing so much bloody money.
Yeah, no, that's
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, just kicked the bin.
I mean, if it makes you...
comes storming down on your door going, FBI, open up.
What? Suddenly philanthropy is a crime when it comes to Warhammer.
Yeah, then I'd turn around and go, well, actually, I think you'll find that the FBI's jurisdiction is limited to the United States of America. You should be actually the CIA, which is the, that. And then they'd go, oh no, and then I'd show them a mirror and they get confused and arrest themselves.
I mean, if you want the extra bit of pain, is the thing that I'm painting currently is Lamenters. So imagine how much longer. I mean, I love them, but you know,
it was. First, one, it was your own damn fault of picking yellow, and 2, picking checkers.
Harlequins, enough said.
Fair.
Yeah, but if you decide to paint yellow checkered Harlequins, you're insane.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Certifiably so.
I was tempted for a while to have a little detachment of Harlequins for my Eldar, but make them all in black and white so that I can have Scarlequins.
Oh, you prick. Oh, you prick. I'm sure you've told me this before, but I blanked it out because it was so emotionally painful.
But the thing is, though, you got to convert some orcs now to be, in Harlequin poses, so you can have some proper Scarlequins.
Well, I mean, that's
okay.
just
Stop it. Just stop it.
Just imagine that some pirouetting Scarboys, No. Oh, he's a good dancer.
You see, we come from. Pick it up. Yeah,
Feed.
I will always go to the musical genre before orcs, even though I am an orc player, because I am who I am. So.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, these questions.
But the thing is, though, you can have your Scarboys, though, can't you? Your Scarboy Harlequins. Scarboys, both in Scarboys and for Scarboys as well.
I feel
Scars and Scar.
I feel like the Venn diagram's getting a little cluttered at this point.
But how many scars do the Scarboys have from playing Scar? While watching Scar from Lion King, you know what I'm saying?
Watching Scar from the Lion King, are they just pause the first movie?
They just watch a YouTube compilation on loop.
It's not like YouTube poops or kind of thing. It's like long live the king. It's that sauce.
Oh Christ! That brought me somewhere I wasn't happy.
Yeah, we were supposed to be answering questions at some point.
Ow, my head.
Did you head desk again?
About 3 times.
Only 3. I'm getting sloppy.
Yeah, we need to up our game, really. Holy heck.
Right, anyway, so, first question is an interesting one. Are you still hyped for Space Marine 2?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm as hyped as I ever am for any video game, which is cautiously optimistic because I'm like, the video game industry is a den of scum and villainy, so, also, you go into everything with a little bit of cynicism.
I genuinely forgot it had been announced.
It's been a while ago now,
yeah, the internet time's been like 800 years, and 2022 has lasted approximately 7.5 years, so...
It's lasted about 2 weeks. Minutes. It's gone so fast.
It's okay, suddenly it's like near the end of August, but also it's still like, what? It's so weird. I'm
not too fussed about it purely on the fact that it's coming out on systems that I don't have. Like, I don't have a PS5, I don't have new Xbox, and my laptop certainly won't as hell run it. So it's like, well, I can't play it, so I'm not really fussed about it.
Yeah.
Fair.
Further, you talk about the games industry being a hive of scum and villainy. Amazon are buying EA. There you go.
Oh, great.
I heard that.
Because Amazon and EA just couldn't become more evil on their own. They needed to do the fusion dance and be absolute pricks.
It'd be like, EA-zon. It's in no bathroom breaks for you.
It's in the worker exploitation. Too real. Right. I mean, come. There we go. Fix it. There we go. Yeah, balance it out.
Yeah. I think since we just mentioned Space Marines, I have to draw attention to this comment. Space Marine egos, and they shall know no chill. Which is just...
Agreed.
You hearted that comment, Remleiz, so I knew it was... I was very, very happy with that comment.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Right. Can a human psyker become a bone singer like the Eldari if trained? So can you teach humans to do what bone singers do with Wraithbone?
It is actually possible, because in the Fabius Bile novels, Fabius Bile actually does have a little grove of Wraithbone, and it's actually tended to by the Noise Marines under his command. They actually effectively they sing to it in a sense. So yeah,
I know a song that'll get on your nerves, I don't know why they're from the West Country.
And the funny thing is, after a while, the Noise Marines start having Wraithbone growing out of their armor and stuff.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one of those things. It's kind of it's one of those you go, well, there's no real reason why not. So it's good that there is a canonical example of it.
Okay, right. Which guard force would you like to see be brought back into popular play, including models? Since we got Krieg not that long ago, so if you could basically do a new range for which guard faction, what would you pick?
Talon.
The Woad Warriors, the ones that are naked.
Oh, I go for the naked men as well.
Tangar Woad Warriors, what they're called.
Whatever.
I'm joking, but also, also kind of not.
I'd go Mordians.
Yeah.
just a completely different aesthetic.
And if you go Mordians, you can retool them into Praetorians as well.
And
actually, legitimately, ones I actually would like to see is to see models made for, is it the Necromundan spiders?
Spiras.
Spiras, that's the one.
No,
yeah.
it's spiders.
Oh, it is spiders. Oops, sorry.
Spiders is the guard regiment. Spiras are the hunters with the hunting rigs.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, because there's one piece of artwork for them that was of a punk lady guardsman that I think was in a Fantasy Flight book. And ever since I saw that, I'm like, God damn, on my long list of like dream armies that would require so much conversion work would be a Necromundan spider army.
Yeah, and I have to say on behalf of someone in my Discord who has gone through so much pain acquiring them over in New Zealand, Vostroyans. Right.
So apparently, considering that there is actually a painting guide on how to paint the Necromundan spiders, apparently they're just Cadians with a different paint job.
I'm going to say that is the most low-effort way of doing them. And why do that when you can make an army of punks?
That's a fair point.
Though, funny enough, wasn't that Necromundan attaché model actually was from the Spiders Regiment?
Yes, one of the hangers-on.
Yeah, because if you actually look at her shoulder patch, she's actually got the Spiders logo on it.
Yeah.
So there you go, you actually have an official Spiders model right there. There you go.
One. I'll make an army out of them. Just buy that one over and over and over again. You
say one, but it's more than what the Vostroyans have currently.
Okay, technically true.
And the Talon, and the Mordians, and the
Praetorians.
Praetorians.
Old models that you can find.
Yeah, so you want to pay your weight in gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Actually, this is a sort of secondary thing, but you know what would actually be a fun thing for something like Kill Team? Make a new set of the Last Chances.
Yes.
Just seems like that's like an ideal place to use them, because I don't know about you, but they always felt like a bit of a weird fit for 40k proper.
Also, why don't Gaunt's Ghosts have Kill Team rules?
Yes,
because they've got models.
Perfect.
Hang on, didn't they actually get some Kill Team? Didn't they actually get Kill Team rules included in the box set?
I have absolutely no idea. Hang on, give me 30 seconds because I've got 2 minutes.
Because I'm pretty sure they had some rules come with them in the box set that came out, like Kill Team cards or something.
They got. Go away. That's their models. Yeah, we know about the models.
So I know they got proper 40k rules. I know that.
Yeah, they did get. They definitely got 40k rules. Yeah, I don't see anything about Kill Team in there. No, it doesn't say that they do.
Well, get on that.
Yeah, get on that,
James.
Actually, Kirioth made a video about Gaunt's Ghost rules, so let's see what Kirioth was talking about when he found the article.
Also, Kirioth, answer my damn DMs for once, you bastard.
Harsh.
It was said in jest.
Yeah,
but it's because you keep messaging Kiri and asking for feet pics. That's why they're not responding to you.
That's Beans, actually, but hey.
Bean pics, please.
And they're like, no, go on my only feats, or I don't know.
Yeah,
they have 40k rules, not Kill Team rules. There we go.
Okay.
Love you, Kiri. Please don't be mad. I'm telling everyone your secret DMs with Remleiz.
But yeah, it does feel like, because there's these little bands of characters, with how Kill Team's sort of moving more into a thing of specialist models made specifically for Kill Team. It's sort of apt to have these little squads of named characters from either previous stuff like The Last Chances or from the fiction, where they don't normally get a chance to shine properly, just because the nature of 40k is grander than that, because it's, based around larger armies. So like little squads of things that are like from books and things don't necessarily fit neatly into that. So yeah, Kill Team would be a good place for some of these characters to show up, and who knows, hopefully they might do that in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Question. What happens when a blank enters the warp?
For a second there, I forgot about 40k.
On a ship or what?
That's where the question ends. What happens when a blank enters the warp?
Were they just heated into warp, or were they on a boat, or what?
Well, on a ship, we know they're inside a Gellerfield and they're fine, and it doesn't really do anything. But let's take the idea of the guy in the Liber Chaotica who was wandering about the place. If that person is a blank, are they noticeable by demons, or is their presence warp space around them, or?
No bloody idea. I don't think it's ever been touched upon, to be honest.
I would headcanon it as I can't remember what it. I think it was like a horror sci-fi story, and I can't remember much about it. But I think it was like there was like a monster that would basically remove itself from your perception. But in doing so, if you looked like, if you paid too much attention to it, it just looked really weird, like it was just like a black hole kind of thing.
So if you focus directly on it,
and actually
you could detect it was there, but you had to know it was there to be able to see it.
I can't. It might have been like even a story I read, because that sounds like it wouldn't look very good live action. But like that's kind of my thing of like. If when they would be noticed by an irritating kind of little like tinkle out the corner of the eye.
I've heard that idea done in a few things before, so it's not.
That's kind of how I headcanon it, but
And it's better than what I thought, because when you said blank, I forgot that blanks were a thing for a second.
You're just like, oh, do we have to fill in the blanks?
Yeah, I thought we were playing blankety blank for a second.
Oh, Christ.
I'm sorry, I'm very old.
Sorry to interrupt. There's a bit in the news that we missed, because I don't think anyone actually bothered bloody announcing it. I only just stumbled across it. The Black Library Character Week short story subscription.
What?
Yeah.
What?
That came out last week, and Games Workshop never actually bothered announcing.
Okay.
Well, there's 5 short stories. You've got a short story about Drekkie Flint, the new Caradron guy, who's in the middle of a dogfight. A Kato Ezekiah story called... I thought it was called Ooh Blood Bond, but no, it's just called Blood Bond.
Ooh, tiny Blood Bond.
No, but the thing is, like, if you actually look at the cover, it looks like it's go ooh.
Ooh, Blood Bond. That's the best thing I've ever seen. Oh,
and it just says that dragon's so sad.
Because he's like,
and then it's going, ooh, didn't mean to make you cry.
Oh, God.
There's a Caiaphas Cain story. There's a Caiaphas Cain story where he's taking on a deviant psyker. A Sisters of Battle story where there's a score of sororitas in the ruins of a deserted city. And there's the trial of Lucille von Schad, who's the pilot from the Outgunned novel.
Ah, that'll tie in then.
So it would have been nice if Games Workshop actually announced they were doing this.
Yeah.
In fairness, with the sheer amount of stuff that gets announced these days, I find it quite difficult to notice individual things sometimes, and stuff just completely slips through the cracks because so much to pay attention to if you're trying to actually focus on it. This is not an old man yells at cloud thing. It's just the nature of the how much bigger Games Workshop is now and the amount of product they put out means it's quite hard to keep track of sometimes.
Yeah, that's why doing podcasts is so useful, because we just trawl 2 weeks of news. But like, speaking of that sort of thing, today there was an article about the Kroot, and they just happened to show like 1 million Kroot variants no one's ever seen, including ones with wings. And like, how did this slip past me?
In fairness, that they were shown the Liber Xenologist book.
Yeah.
Oh, they're all from Xenologist, are they? Just I'd never seen them before. Never mind. But like, how did I? It's an article about Kroot. I played Tau. I hadn't even read it, and didn't even know this was there. But yet somehow that was all new to me. Yeah, there is a lot though, and it is. When we do the news, we sort of have to look through it and think, okay, what's worth talking about? Because back in the old days, we used to do talking about all the rules updates, particularly like really early on. We used to talk about, okay, these are the new rules for this thing, so what's that going to mean? Like, but we don't do that anymore. We just pick and choose the interesting bits of the news that apply to us, because neither of us really play, and then spend more time just on tangents and book club, because it's just, well, it's more our speed.
But yeah, it's part of the thing, with so much, it's so easy to get overwhelmed and it to actively affect your enjoyment of the thing. Like, I know that the constant like FOMO stuff made me enjoy Warhammer a lot less. Yeah. So I had to just kind of cut myself off from that.
It can overwhelm you. So you're just like, oh, I can't be asked.
Constantly feeling like you're missing out and stuff. And I was just like, no, I can't let this get to me. I've got to disconnect a bit and just, occasionally there'll be something I go, oh, I really want that. And, I'll go get it. But I have to kind of just not be so tied into it all.
Yeah,
also,
absolutely.
Also, if you'd like us, you also, it's a hobby and also you're making content on it and stuff. There's like a limit as to how much of this you can have as your brain space. You have to do other things as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Can I just ask, did they ever announce the short batch of Chaos Space Marine short stories that were also released a couple of weeks ago? Did they ever announce them?
They never announce Black Library stuff unless it's really important.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Because there's a bunch of there was like a week of Chaos Space Marine short stories being released as well.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, one of them being Emperor's Children, Word Bearers, Alpha Legion, World Eaters, and The Fallen.
Oh, interesting. But yeah, I know exactly what... I'm not dismissing what you just said, Remleiz, but just what Ribs said really sits with me as someone who now doesn't create much, if any, content about the hobby, but still the hobby occupies a chunk of my brain space. It's that idea of, oh yeah, this is a thing, and this is a thing, and this is a thing, and I've had to go, right, no, hang on, what am I actually going to do? Like, I look at something and I think, oh, that's great value, I should pick that up, or that's an amazing model, I want it, and then my brain has to reel itself in and go, no, Neve, stop, you already own so much that you haven't done, you don't have any time to paint those, so when are you going to do that? Like,
if it helps, I never have that problem.
Well,
Wib is my voice.
Yeah, we often do have the conversation where like you'll be in town
and I'll go,
and you'll send me a text saying like, oh, the initial, like say in Imperium, the parts work thing that was out.
Yeah.
And there'll be one, and it'll be really good value. Like one of the ones that's really good value. There was a recent one that had
it had like 10 like sisters models in it,
and it was like £8, and it's
and that's incredible.
That's incredible. I was like, but we have a bunch of sisters models that we still haven't painted, so even if it's good value, we shouldn't.
And I was just like,
yeah,
like,
I mean,
it's insidious. It's the FOMO thing, we get all this stuff blasted at us, and like it's just the nature of the world.
I mean, we get serotonin for buying things, and stuff like that.
And there's so much coming out. There's always a new thing. There's the new games. Now you've got Horus Heresy out now as a rebranded mainline game, not just a niche Forge World thing. It's now full on mainline, and that's people are feeling pressure to get into that.
Plus Kill Team and Warcry, even though they're smaller games.
Yeah. And some of these games stay around, some of them don't. Some of them are like, Apocalypse, a thing that came out and then quietly...
Oh god, yeah, Apocalypse, oh my god, yes.
Just disappeared. And sometimes this is not related to how fun the game is, it's just it doesn't resonate in like the same kind of way for whatever reason. And if you try and keep up with absolutely everything all the time, you will burn out. you will start to hate the hobby because it requires, to keep up with everything, it requires so much. I could not, I know for a fact I could not do stuff like where every week I would be, say, putting out content talking about the latest things. I would burn out so quickly. There is a reason that Codex Compliant talks about stuff from like 20 plus years ago. Because
like I used to do news. Genuinely, that was my channel started on Codex reviews and doing the news. And then I did one lore video, loved it, and just kept doing that, and sort of peeled away from doing news, and especially once the podcast started, because we were doing it there. I had no need to do it. But I'm someone who is, well, what me and my gaming group used to call a hobby butterfly, in that I've got 3 40k armies and 5 AOS armies on the go at the moment.
Just on rule books alone, that's oof.
I know, but like the Slaanesh project that I've got is very much a very small little vanity project because, you know, elf player must fall to Slaanesh eventually. And apparently it's just a thing that all trans women must have a Slaanesh army. Apparently that's just an unwritten rule of life.
I think that's like, you know, it's like, you know, you come out and then you get sent like the rule books and a workable force, and that's just the way it is.
You just get sent the start at the start, start collecting books.
Yeah, but like my orcs are my childhood army that I've had since I was literally before I even turned 12 years old. My Tau are the army that I fell in love with on a narrative level. My Lumineth are just like, oh my god, my high elves are back and they look so pretty. And then I realised how hard they are to paint, and I thought, no, fuck this. The Daughters of Cain were the army that started me off in Age of Sigmar when I got some Dark Elves, and so I've sort of built them up over time. The Idneth, okay, that was an impulse buy, I'll be honest. The entire Idneth army was an impulse buy, because how can you not with the Eels and the Sharks and the Doom Turtles and all that?
They are undoubtedly, there's such a spectacle of how absurd they are that I understand anyone that just went all in on them very quickly.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people. And then I've got a Cities of Sigmar army using like the spare Dark Elves and High Elves and bits that I've got, but I want to expand that. And then they did Harcuron, which is literally Daughters of Cain plus Cities, and now the Settlers Gain, which is Free Guild plus Lumineth, so I want a Free Guild army now. And I've got to say, no, Neve, stop. Plus, I've got my Stormcast army, which is my little sanity cushion in France, because I literally had no friends and no social life, so I just sat there painting Stormcast for 2 hours a night on live streams, which, by the way, sorry, students, why did you stop me live streaming? Oh, you should probably cut that out, but also, I can't stream anymore, and it means I can't hobby, because it was just the thing that I did to hobby. Anyway, so no, as a hobby butterfly, I burnt out so much of just jumping around trying to keep up with all these different projects, and
it's hard not to.
Sometimes you really do have to. I think like not to get all we live in a society or anything, but like
society.
But like because we are bombarded with so much all the time, it means that it's kind of difficult sometimes to like realize that you don't have to do everything right now. You don't have to collect all the armies that are brand new right now. You don't have to do everything.
I have no impulse control, and yes, I do.
And you don't have to watch all the brand new movies. You don't have to keep up with all the brand new games. You can let things settle for, realize how much you actually really want to do. You can watch a movie years after it's come out. It's not a big deal. You don't always have to be on the ball of everything all the time. And I think sometimes it's very easy to get stuck in the Warhammer sphere as well. Sisters have come out. You could now collect Sisters army. I've always wanted to do. Oh no, now there's a new. The dragons have come out. I want to make a dragon army.
And your old army's also getting updates.
Your old army's getting updates, so you got to do that. And like, there's always something new. But it's okay to like have a project, start it, and then kind of put it to the wayside and go back to it later. Or to like sometimes go, okay, I'm done with this project, and maybe move it along to someone else who will get something from it.
Like
it's okay to do that. You don't have to be doing everything all the time, and it's also okay to just not like. Yeah, there can be something really cool, but like you can. It's okay. It's okay. You're not missing out. Like there'll be something new and fancy you want next month as well. Like it's okay.
And it is something that, particularly as we get older and have less and less free time and less free income, to consider, but we could literally talk another 2 hours just about like life as a hobbyist, and I'm already conscious we've gone over 2 hours, so maybe we'll put a pin in that, and either on your next return or, God forbid, we get an invite on the Misanthropod, we'll talk about this again another time. No, as in, just you know what
I know what you mean. Yeah, don't worry.
Also, it's nearly 8:45 and I'm starving.
Yes.
I have also realised that I haven't had dinner, so yeah, I'm pretty hungry.
Yeah.
So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to everyone who joined in for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it despite all the tangents, or perhaps in spite of the tangents. And thank you very much to Snipe and Wib for joining us this episode.
Thank you for having us. It's always nice to hang out with you.
It is always a pleasure.
To
Absolutely.
ruin your beautiful podcast.
Enhance.
Thank you. That's a very polite way of putting it.
Add a different spice to it.
Okay, we're already running over time.
Okay. No time for pretentiousness. Okay.
So, until next time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
This has been me from Tactica Imperialis.
I've been Snipe from Snipe and Wib.
And I've been Wib from Snipe and Wib.
And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.